All right, thank you everybody for listening to another Global from Asia podcast. This is actually a guest I've been wanting to get on the show for a while. We were fortunate enough to meet quite a few years ago in a mastermind in Bangkok, which was awesome. And Shane Oglow, he's a PR and Amazon expert, so it's really great to have you with us today. Thanks, Shane.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah.
Sure. So, we got lots to talk about today, and about I think it's really I'm also very passionate about external traffic and not just relying inside these ecosystems. Today we're talking about Amazon, or there's Facebook, or there's all these walled gardens. It seems like that's the new trend, but I'm more of I think maybe you two are more of a supporter of the open web, right?
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of diversity too. And they just came out I don't know 4 or 5, 6 weeks ago, and talking about the A10 algorithm and how they're talking about they do measure and look for high authority backlinks. We knew that, intuitively, but it was the first time they actually talked about it. And our testing can show that. And a lot of people are still very resistant to understanding. Yeah. But like press. So when we talk about PR, there's two types of PR. There's press releases, and then there's public relations. And they're different. They're interconnected, but they're different. And we can talk about both of them, and we can talk about whatever you want.
Sure.
But just press releases on its own, where a lot of people talk about PR, they're talking about press releases. The reason we're primarily ever doing press releases is that, hey, you've got a big news announcement, cool. Find a really good distribution network, get it out in front of people. People start talking about it, gives you authority online, blah blah blah. But really, it's for the backlinks, those high authority backlinks, whether it's a Shopify site or you're a service provider or whatever, your Amazon product detail page. It's about the backlinks.
Yeah, agreed. And so I think it's really great. We just dove right in, but maybe just give listeners a little bit of about you and your company for those.
There's no time to talk about that. Let's just go straight in.
Actually, I kind of like it. We just jump right in, man. We're getting technical. It's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, so I'm a co-owner of PR Reach with my partner Norm Farrar. A lot of guys know Norm. He's got the big beard. It's kind of hard to miss him. He's done everything since the 90s. Like, he's just so steeped in knowledge. It's great. But I don't want to go on a Norm tangent here, but the cool thing about hanging out with Norm, and millennials aren't going to get this, but when we hang out, I secretly hope that sometimes people might think that we're ZZ Top. Millennials are like, what the hell's a ZZ Top? But anyways, yeah. So co-owner PR Reach, and hey, PR Reach is an interesting business. So we bought it from a friend of ours who started it maybe back in 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. Rob Burns, great guy, and it was the world's first video press release company, and that's pretty cool. And I actually was using it back in 2014. Back when there was a press release hack that Amazon sellers used to use, and we can talk about that later. But
sure.
Then Rob, he's very he's going all over the place. He's got lots of things going on, and a couple of years back he decided to sell it, and Norm bought it and then asked me to become a partner with him. And so that's what's happening. So we got a lot slower start than we intended, but we wanted to transform it from a press release company into more of a media communications company, and that's what we've done by expanding, into content and video, Amazon posts, public relations, and earned media, and also expanding the distribution networks for press releases. So it's not just there's different press releases for different jobs. We talk about that later. So that's what we do at PR Reach, and that's where I come from. Before that, I guess I started selling, in that sort of first boom when a lot of people did around 2013, 14. And that was great. Gosh, I wish I could do it again because I did so much better. But you live and learn. And at that time, nobody knew a damn thing. Like, there's no resources. There's no gurus or experts. It was just like, hey, I know a guy's been doing this for 8 months and he's learned this. And it's like, oh my gosh. And, you try and find out. But and we knew things would change rapidly, as everything online does, and it will continue to do. But yeah, so I worked with Amazing for a long time.
Yeah,
Amazing Selling Machine. I did a couple of their courses, I think ASM 5 and 6, if I'm not mistaken. Mentored thousands of sellers. over the years. And yeah, just, it's funny. And, here I can sit down with someone who I've known in the Amazon space for a long time. Either they've become a big seller, not all of them, a few have drifted off, or they've created business around the Amazon space. So maybe they're into software, maybe they're doing coaching, or who knows? But it's just interesting to see how that industry just boom exploded out in all kinds of interesting directions. So, and
Agreed.
we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, I remember those days with like 13, 14. I think this podcast was going already, and then I was in China. I'm still in back in China. I've spent some time in Thailand, but yeah, everyone was just nobody knew what they were doing. Like we had some interviews on the show. One was a Chinese friend as a seller, and he was on just on regular websites, and he started selling on Amazon 2013, and it was just started really exploding for him. He's like, and everybody was really just diving in, and yeah, back then launches and then giveaways and reviews and it's a totally different
Yeah.
game. I guess like you said, everything on the internet changes, but especially seems like Amazon has changed. But I still think, like you said, you're already just mentioning about backlinks, link juice. I still think a lot of people are not tapping into this power of traditional you know PR and the web with their Amazon businesses. A lot of people are just still in the PPC, and they're trying to do trying to get the ranking and the reviews and and all the internal stats of Amazon listing, not looking outside, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And here's a funny thing about that is, I've been through this process with many brands over the years. And if you want to build a power brand, you got to move off of Amazon. That doesn't mean I shouldn't say move off. You need to diversify away. You need some Google love. You need to be building your own list. You need to sell on other platforms, other marketplaces. Hey, whether that's Walmart.com, or you're trying to get into Costco or eBay, or opening up just Amazon, UK, EU, Singapore, whatever the case may be. You need that love, because when you start to build a brand, everyone, 99% of sellers are just another nameless, faceless brand on Amazon that nobody gives a crap about.
Yeah,
You need to make that move to become a brand that also just happens to sell on Amazon. And you
exactly.
start to build that loyal, raving customer base. You can do your own market research. You can do your launches much easier. You can charge higher prices. You have a better conversion rate. Your multiples increase when you go to sell. People who aren't doing PR are insane. It's either because they don't have the money, or they just don't know. They literally don't know. Most sellers don't know. This is such a huge opportunity and it's so inexpensive. And the ROI over time on the public relations side is 50 to 100 times. Our PR team have had clients stay with us an average of 7 to 9 years because the ROI is there. We're getting them published in newspapers, magazines, interviews, bloggers, podcasts, trade shows, gift guides, like you name it. Like that's where the power. If you've got a brand and you see one of your competitors, you're like, how the hell are they getting these gift guides? How are they always in the news? How are they getting the, Martha Stewart Living, or, wherever they happen to be? That's how they do it. That's what
Yeah.
we're doing. And you need to do that. Now, if you're a brand new seller, you don't need to do that. Get your Amazon legs underneath you, get your conversion rates up, get your PPC dialed in, all that stuff. That's cool. But you need to start to reach out and bridge and start to get links coming in from Amazon, because we know Amazon gives weight to all those high authority backlinks. It's just
Agreed.
going to, content is king. We all know
We
that.
all know
Most
that.
people don't have the the what for all, or the vision to keep at it and make it work for them. Because here's the typical example. Someone goes, hey, you know what? Content's king. I'm going to do 6 blog posts a month. Okay, that's cool. Great start. And they put it on their blog, or they put it on their social media. Month after month goes by, not much happening because they don't have much traffic or engagement, and they generally peter out and they give up. And that's the wrong thing to do. We bypass that because we can amplify content by syndicating it. So we accelerate that process, but it's still the right thing to do. Even if you're like, hey, Shane, I'm going to do it myself. Great, do it. It's going to take you a year or two, but if you keep at it persistently, you put out good quality content, you're just giving Google what it wants. And if you can mix it up by throwing in videos and blah, 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 all those different things, that is lovely, with nice, intelligent linking. It's not spammy, no garbage. It will pay off. I mean, Look at companies like Dr. Axe. Dr. Axe. I mean, he's become a major player in that niche. What he did was for 2 years, man, article after article every single month, like sometimes like 10, 20,000 word articles. He would just pump them out. Eventually he became a power player. That's the long, slow route. We've got ways to shortcut it a bit, but still that's how you get to the top, because we're giving Google what it wants, right? I covered a lot of bases there, man. That's a lot of stuff.
That was quite a bit. It's awesome. I mean, I think sharing, I mean, content creation, everybody says content is king, but like you said, a lot of people are just grinding out posts and putting it to their blog with no traffic, no links, and then they're wondering why. And then, but even if you're, even with links or even with exposure and marketing, it still takes time. But especially with no marketing to the content, so same with so many people give up too early. I mean, I guess that's true with anything in life, but especially with organic traffic and SEO, that's actually why there's so many scammers that like to sell SEO, because they say, oh, you got to pay me for 6 months, or pay me, you got to wait, so you can't see it, so that's how it gets a bad name, in my opinion, because they can kind of milk the client. But it's true, though, it does take a lot of time to get the results. And I think we should back up a little bit, because even I'm curious the difference. I'll admit, I think I understand, but we're preparing for this interview, and you mentioned a good one to just differentiate press release from public relations, because both are PR, and I honestly think press release when I think PR. I don't think public relations, so they are related, but they're different. I'd love to hear that difference.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, press releases are one of the tools in the toolkit of a public relations professional. It's one of the ways they get the message out. But press releases on their own, I mean, a press release is just a written communication that delivers a message to an audience through a variety of means. And for us, that's typically digitally. It can also be in print, old school, we get in our newspaper or article or something. But for the most part, it means digitally. And there's a lot of different levels of PR. But public relations is just sort of putting out influence. A good example is, back in 2000, 2001, Bill Gates was public enemy number one. He had been hauled before Congress and antitrust, like he was doing some really shady stuff. He disappeared. He's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of influence. He influences news networks, tells them what to do. He came out, he rebranded himself as a philanthropist here to save the world.
Yeah.
It's all PR. I mean, maybe he is. I'm not passing judgment. I'm just, but that's the power of PR. Now here, we're not trying to change the world, of course. We're just trying to get our product or service or brand in front of people through a variety of different means and sway them to become our loyal, raving fans. And there's a lot of technicalities in there, but that's really it. Public relations can be used like reputation management, for example. Someone leaves a bad review about your dry cleaning business. You want to bury that. You want to get good stuff out there. There's ways to do that. And over time, public relations increase the value of a business so much. First of all, you're driving lots of new traffic from these high authority placements and sites and magazines or wherever you happen to show up. So you get all that, and those never go away. It's not like advertising, or like if you pay for advertising, like the ROI compared to between advertising and PR is just, it's insanely in favor of PR, because the ad doesn't go away. It stays there forever, that link. And then of course what you do, let's say you get your business, you come to me and say, hey Shane, I want to be published in Inc., Entrepreneur, Forbes. You've got your dream list. Well, I can't guarantee I'll get you into those 5. I'll probably get you into some of them. It might take 2 or 3, 4 months because they have their own schedules. But we have contacts at every major media outlet in North America. I don't think there's any magazine or site or news station that we don't have contacts at. And that's how we work our influence, right? So I'll come to that person and I'll be like, hey, we got this guy. He's got this cool podcast. Here's this, we craft your brand and pitch. They might say, yeah, I'd love to have him on, but I don't really have a spot until maybe mid-January. Okay, that's cool, because they've got their schedule, and we just start rolling those things out. So it takes a bit of time to get that flywheel going. Once it does, those links never go away. So if you get this article, then what we're going to do is we're going to do PRs about it. You can write blogs about it up the yin yang, linking to it on your social media. Like you're just going to squeeze every drop of juice out of that really good PR for a long time. Add it to your newsletter. There's so many things you can do, and that's the real power of PR is its longevity.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So let's start to connect it to the Amazon world, Amazon ecosystem. I guess, you mentioned new sellers or maybe new products. You might not need it, or focus. Or when do you think it's needed? Or
Yeah.
I have some insight, or I'd love to dig into that. But maybe what do you usually say to a seller?
Yeah, and that's a really good question too, because as a new Amazon seller, you got a lot of moving parts you're trying to figure out. Now, a new seller versus a new account are completely different. So if you've been, through the rodeo a few times and you're launching a new product, I hit it with everything I got because I'm not fooling around anymore. But that's when the difference between press releases and public relations comes into play, because if you're a new seller, hey, let's say you hit the $5,000 or $10,000 a month mark. Hey, great, wonderful, you're growing and you're happy and you're trying to figure things out, and cool. It's a perfect time to start press releases, even if it's just one a month. Just ding, ding, get it out there. It's not going to make a difference overnight. There's a caveat there. Actually, it can make a difference overnight, but I'll come back to that.
Okay, sure.
But if you're just, let's say you're putting out one press release a month, XYZ company launches this product, XYZ company talks about the industry change, XYZ company is talking about their benefits of the product, whatever it happens to be. We write press releases all day long. It starts to give you some authority. It's not going to shoot you to the top of Google rankings or Amazon rankings or the gate. Of course not. That's not what it's going to do. If it was that easy, everyone would do it. But what it does is it starts to give you some online authority. So if I go to Amazon and I see Michael Inc., web a mouse or something, a computer mouse, and I type in Michael Inc. on Google, I'm like, oh, okay, Michael Inc., here's a Yahoo article, they're legit. It's not just some dude sitting in his mom's basement, here today, gone tomorrow, right? It's like it's a legitimate business. So you can have a bit of trust, build authority. Mm-hmm. And over time, you will start to get Google rankings. If you're just doing one a month, we've got people who do 3 a month or 5 a month. We've got clients who've been with us for years who just every month, boom, boom, and now they dominate page one for all kinds of terms of Google. So the caveat there, and that's for a combination. Hey, you're getting some backlinks, lovely. You're getting a bit of authority, cool. You're slowly building up your search rankings, wonderful.
Yep.
But obviously, the more you do, the more you can accelerate it. There's two caveats. So number one, if you've invented a better mousetrap, let's say you have or you've signed a deal with Nike or something, like some big news, right? We're going to put that out on our premium distribution network, and that's when you can blow it up with traffic, because all of a sudden, the people in that, journalists or influencers or bloggers, whoever sees that, like, holy crap, what's going on here? They'll check it out. They might repost it. They might contact the owner and reach out, and then that's when things can really go viral. Obviously, every piece of news you have isn't going to be that type. The other thing too, and we've had immense success with that, to knock on wood there, so keep it going. But our top end press releases now, they're more expensive, but it's insane the search ranking results we're getting within 72 hours. Like literally, it's insane. Now, let's say whether it's your product detail page or your website, that you've got a dozen keywords that you're looking to go for. We're putting people on page one for all those keywords literally overnight. Okay. Not your website. Sometimes the product detail page.
I was going to say the website or the product page, yeah.
It's the news. So maybe it's a Yahoo News article, or maybe one of our partners picked up, or it's a blog we're pushing up. We got, do you know George Marisa over at Clear Ads?
I'm sorry, I don't believe so.
No, he's a super, super nice guy. He runs a company called Clear Ads. It's an Amazon DSP agency.
Got it.
And we got him such insane results in 1 month. We were outranking Amazon for their own terms. Amazon contacted him and offered him a partnership and to do research and development with him. It was like, he goes, dude, whatever you're doing, don't stop. Let's just increase it, and I'll say whatever you want me to say. This is insane. So Again, if you come to me and you've got, sunglasses you're selling, great. We're going to try and get you on page one for all these terms, but it's going to be the news articles, or it's going to be a blog, or those types of things. Sometimes it'll be the product detail page. Eventually, it's designed. It's like basically a monthly done for you. That's slightly different, but it's over time. The idea is that it will start to rank your website. It might take 2 months. It might take 6 months. Who knows? Like, it just depends on the competition, the keywords. But the idea is that we just keep you all the time, page one exposure, and then your assets start to come up as well.
Got it.
So that is kind of the level of PRs. You can start really inexpensively, just once a month, 2 times, 5 times a month, whatever. It doesn't cost a lot, and it will start to make a difference slowly. You can jump ahead of the queue with one of these higher level PRs and just get really insane results right out of the gate. But it just depends on where you're at as a seller.
Got it. So then it seems like I think you kind of answered it, but just to clarify, most likely it's to your own website mostly than the product details page, or can you kind of can you sneak both? I think maybe you can sneak multiple links in a PR release sometimes.
You can, absolutely. And we just did a test with a brand new product on Amazon, straight to Amazon link. It had 2 reviews. It had been up for a few weeks. It was insane, the results we got. We originally started what was called our brand builder product doing this. And the brand builder is basically a monthly done for you content system where we have about 3 press releases at its core. We write a 1,500-word blog article. We shoot about 3 videos. We strip out different assets from it, and we blast it out to our distribution network, and we syndicate the content. So it hyper accelerates your content. We targeted 20 keywords, insane. Every single one, page 1 Google, every single one. And for one term, we dominated every single spot, including an image. I couldn't believe it. I don't probably have that case study yet. We're redoing our websites. Our websites. Okay. Going to be redone here in a couple of weeks.
Sure.
And I'll have links to all those case studies there.
You can provide it.
But yeah, it's sorry, I lost my train of thought on the question.
The product detail page versus website, or sneaking multiple links in one PR release.
Yeah, we started just doing it to web pages because that's what the original demand was for. We thought, hey, why don't we just drive these links straight to Amazon? Because we've been doing it for years as part of our product launch procedures. So I thought, what if we take all of this stuff and direct links? And it was insane. And yes, you're right. So in press releases, we could add up to 3 links. We never add 3 links all the time. Sometimes we will. But there's also, don't forget, there's also boilerplate contact information in a press release too. So if you're XYZ company, you can have your XYZ company, 123 Main Street, USA, with the domain there. So you're going to get the extra link. So there's no need to replicate it in the body necessarily.
In the content,
Yeah. And press releases, so a lot of people know, they follow a very strict format. Google treats them differently. They treat them as their own special kind of piece of content. And in fact, the last update, they even give more weight to press releases. So it's a great time to be using them. But I've had press releases submitted to me from great writers, like fantastic writers, but they're horrible press releases because they wrote them like a blog, or they wrote them like ad copy. It can't be. It's got to be news. It's got to be written like a third-party perspective. It can't be sensational. Best product ever launches tomorrow. Like, it's going to get either declined or it's just going to get low distribution. And having the title very short, snappy, no keyword fluff, and that first link is primary. 80% of a press release's weight rides on its title and that first link. So it's very important to get that right. So, not that I'm disparaging someone on Fiverr who doesn't speak English as a first language, but, just like with content now, you can't fool around. We can't keyword stuff. It's got to be good stuff, Google knows. And you're better off to either have a company write, like a press release company if you're using one, or get a proper PR writer to write it. It's very, very important.
I would agree totally, of course. And of course, there's no guarantee it'll get picked up, right? Because the PR release,
oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, they don't have to publish it just because you send it to
Well, we guarantee pickups. We guarantee. I mean, if you want to write it yourself and you say, no, I want to write it like this, I'm like, no, it's a piece of garbage. You're like, I don't care, put it out. Well, yeah, then there's no guarantees. But for the most part, we guarantee pickups. Like we're not going to guarantee every single distribution outlet is going to publish it, but we usually never have a problem with that. It's not like it's not going to get picked up unless it went against guidelines. There's certain things that some networks won't publish. Some networks won't deal with supplements or sex toys or reverse mortgages or, there's a whole list of things.
I understand.
Or sometimes if you have save 20% off for February for XYZ company, you'll get limited distribution with that. Some will pick it up, but most won't.
Yeah, makes sense. I guess we kind of talked about it, but the time of course, more is always better. But what's like a normal frequency? Maybe at the launch is probably good. I mean, on certain products, a certain portfolio. I know it's pretty open. I know it depends, of course, the budget, the size, the amount of products, the competition about it. I don't know what you normally would say to somebody how often they should do it, or depending on their budget, or
and you're right. I mean, it really dependent. If you're a small seller, just starting off, hey, just be consistent. If that's one a month for you of the cheapest press release that we got in our arsenal, great, wonderful. That will slowly get you going. The more products you have, the more you want to do. We treat product launches completely different. We have our own rebate management network that we use. So if we're managing like a rebate campaign, for example, we will hit it hard in the first couple of weeks. That might be 6 presses, it might be 12, it might be 20, depending on the keywords we're going after in the competition. But I'm talking about just for that regular, building that authority, that trust, getting some Google love, getting some backlinks in. It's really up to, I think, your budget. It's an important thing to do. And just like with public relations, I had a great question on a webinar last night. It's like, well, what percentage of our sales should we budget towards public relations? And it's going to depend, but anywhere from 8 to 15% is what you really should be looking at. I mean, you look at Mercedes or Toyota or Seagrams or, Apple, what percentage of theirs do they put in? Like, that's how they build their business, is on PR. That is their entire thing.
Sure.
And what we've done is we've allowed, so I used to work with he was a super nice guy. I always forget his name. I think it's Mike, but anyways, he was in the PR business for 35 years. I mean, he just knew lots. He was a wonderful dude, but it was a $55,000 retainer to get started. And, for most small or medium-sized businesses, that's just not, especially if you've never done it before. You don't know what to expect for an ROI. It could take 6 months before it really starts to kick in, or 3 months, or who knows, right? You just don't know these things. It's just not going to happen. And that's why it stayed in the domain of these bigger brands, because they're the only ones who could say, okay, yeah, 55K, fine. We'll see what happens. Most small sellers just can't take a gamble with that. So what we did is we had a need for PR for some of our other companies, actually. We thought, well, how come around Amazon's doing this? Sure, you start doing $1 million a month. Yeah, you get into PR. I know lots of sellers in that space, fine. But for the other ones doing 50 grand a month or 100 or whatever, why not? Why not do PR? Like, it's going to explode things for you, and people just don't know about it. So we basically made it affordable, and just like monthly payments. And say we might have a minimum contract of 2 months, 4 months, 6 months. It depends on the type of campaigns we're running. Okay. But that's what we decided to do for people.
Yeah, that sounds really, really, really reasonable. And I like the idea of thinking of it as a percentage of your revenue or profits. You got to reinvest. And what we talk about here on the show is, and I think the main value of it is brand, right? You mentioned Apple. I don't remember the car companies like Mercedes, but the value is the brand recognition, really. When it really all boils down. Of course, there's patents and other IP, but I think the brand, the trademark, that's the real value. So people have to reinvest in that. I think the real goal is people search your brand name, right? Hopefully, over time, they search directly on Amazon, directly on Google. They're looking for your brand, right? I think that's the ultimate goal, or one of the top.
That would be lovely, or even just dominating the keywords. If you're looking
Yeah,
for
dominate.
silicone spatula, like I know I could type in silicone spatula right now, and I guarantee I'll see Oxo, I'll see probably Deoro, I'll probably see Wilton. Why do I know? I don't know the first damn thing about silicone spatulas except for my goofy training I did a few years ago. It's just because I've seen those brand names so many damn times.
Yeah.
You take an obscure product like a silicone spatula. I mean, if I was a chef, I should know this, right? This is the best spatula in the world. I don't know, right? But you're 100% right. And here's the other thing too: is we've all of us have been in Amazon for a while and seen some success. Hey, you start growing, you hit this milestone or that milestone. You start thinking, oh my gosh, I need to diversify. I can't have all my eggs in one basket. I want to build a list. I want to do this, that. So you start looking at Walmart.com, or you look at eBay, or you're looking at different Amazon marketplaces, or you're looking to try and get into retail, whatever that case may be. It's a tough go for most people because you set up your Shopify account. All of a sudden, crickets, because now you're responsible for your own traffic. Oh crap, you get the odd sale here and there. And what do? You sheepishly go back into Amazon because that's your bread and butter. You got to make money, man, right? Like that's the thing. When you're doing PR, you're building your search engine results. You're going to start to get some traffic. You can direct the links over there. Great. So you're going to start, people searching online. Great. You start getting traffic from all the high traffic placements, bloggers, influencers, sites, whatever. And it makes that transition into other marketplaces and platforms a hell of a lot easier because you're already carrying a little bit of brand weight. So, hey, you know what? Maybe you only get 3% of your sales from your website as first transition. Hey, that's great, wonderful. If you're doing $1,000 a day or $10,000 a day or whatever that number is, that 3%, that's somewhere to start with. And you're starting to build a list and it just grows and grows and grows. If you don't have that brand recognition or any keyword love coming from Google, you're going to spin your wheels. You're going to rely on like Facebook ads or Google ads, whatever the case. And we all know that's not always the easiest nut to crack, and it's expensive.
Yeah, I agree. A little bit about links. Super URLs are, the almost like a bad word nowadays, but there's other kinds of ways you want to maybe have links. I don't know and then also storefront URLs. I don't know if you recommend storefronts over product direct. And then, the tricky thing is URLs, ASINs change, URLs, permalinks, broken links, or you can even do it on purpose, which is more of an advanced strategy, I think, but some people break their links on purpose, which is crazy. Or Amazon changes your links, I heard somebody say. So, is just some ideas, or if I think this is maybe a little bit more advanced question, but what kind of links would you want to put in a PR release for Amazon?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it has changed over time. We've gone through so many iterations of different types of URLs, and it's crazy. So what we're doing now is we're basically our whole goal is giving Google what it wants. So high quality content, no keyword stuffing, good length, clean links. So we're not using, and I'm not saying they're dirty links. Like Pixel 5Me is a great company. We were using their links for a while. We decided to stop. We're not using any two-step URLs. We're not doing anything like that now. Basically, what we do, and the reason is and not that I think that anything bad has happened. We want to stay clean and safe. So we're putting a straight, Amazon.com ASIN or DP ASIN or the canonical. We use the canonical a lot. We just want it nice and clean, no shenanigans. So Google just says, yep. There's nothing goofy going on here, and it's working really well. Because the truth is even back in the day when we were using links that gave some keyword love, and this is the secret that nobody knows about with press releases, is that it actually depends on the title. The title has a hell of a lot more to do with the keyword ranking on both Google and on Amazon. So we often just use a straight link, no keyword, no shenanigans, and we just make sure the title is well crafted with a seed keyword in there, preferably in a long tail format. And that's what we're doing.
Okay, cool. KPI, how are you, it's one of the good things about short URLs is link tracking. You can click, at least tracking clicks or tracking, but do you, of course, like probably checking Google ranking, checking traffic to your own website, of course, with Google Analytics or other analytics tools, but maybe give us some insights of what's success or what's some metrics you're looking at.
You bet. Yeah, and that's a super good question. And it's funny because as an owner of a PR company, I kind of lament saying this, but I remember back when I started using press releases back in 2013 or 14, whatever it was. Sometimes I'd see my account, I'd see the money come out, I'd see the press release go out and go, is this really helping? Like, am I wasting my money on this? Like, really, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just publishing press releases on whatever. I had no keyword strategies, willy-nilly, right? I didn't know. Nobody knew. I shouldn't say nobody knew. I'm sure somebody knew. But nobody I knew. So that's one thing that I was very adamant about is like, look, we have to find a way to measure this. So I've done. Do we have a long time to talk? Because I can go on forever. But do we have?
No, yeah, I mean, honestly, maybe 10 more minutes. Matt. I mean, okay. I know you're a busy guy.
No story. No story for you. Okay. Okay. What I want to do is I want to make sure there's the ROIs there, right? So what we're doing now is, and I'm going to start at the bottom. So our standard distribution prices, which are great, they're great monthly. What we've done is we do keyword tracking. So you get your distribution report, and we're looking at the keywords that you're ranking for. Okay, based on that price release. Wonderful. Now, for our more advanced, for those higher end price releases, we're doing a lot more. We're blending in SEO. We're looking at domain authorities. We're looking at backlinks. We are looking at not only permutations within the press release itself, we're also tracking permutations from the title. We're looking at keyword body permutations. So let's say you run, you've got a Google SEO guy or you do it yourself, and there's, 10 terms or 20 terms you're tracking in general. We're also going to track those. Even we might not always be hitting them every single time. We're going to look at those, and we're having really great effect on those terms. And again, that case study for George, which will be on the website, is, it's just blowing things away. So yes, to answer your question, most companies, in fact, I don't know of any, will provide that. Everyone's going to give you a distribution report. Yep, that's normal, right? You will see where you're published. We're the ones who are tracking it because it's really, really important to me because I got to make sure it's worth it.
Awesome.
Enough said.
That's really good. Of course. Yeah, I mean, this has been really great. I mean, I think you've been mentioning it. I don't know if you want to put total dollar numbers in the show because, of course, time changes. But maybe for a new seller, or maybe I guess, of course, you have different campaigns and packages can change. But how much? So you said like 8 to 15% of a budget or revenue.
Yeah.
What should somebody think about with?
And sometimes those numbers are blown out of the water when you're just starting too. You start a new brand. You got to put more oomph into it. It's the revenue is not there yet. I get it. But I'm talking about for an established brand. I mean, most guys I know do the same thing with PPC, right? They're saying, hey, 10% is of our revenues what put in PPC, fine, or whatever that number happens to be. We have got a real range. So on the bottom end, we have like one a month. Like $79 if you want to write it yourself. If you want us to write it, it's a little bit more, but it's not expensive to get in. And then it just goes up from there. Then we've got medium range, we've got video press releases, of course, and then we've got the higher end press releases. I'd say around $800 a month.
Yeah,
and those
are for sure
crazy
for bigger sellers. Yeah.
Then we move up to what we call the brand builder. That's $3,000 a month. That's a monthly done for you content system. Okay. And the public relations packages actually start at $3,500 a month.
Okay.
35 to 5,500, and that's
Great.
when you're starting to really cook with gas. So just to give the people an idea of what we're doing
That's
right
helpful.
now
Yeah, I
in
appreciate. I know.
October 2020.
Yeah, no, it's of course this is that can change and
Yeah.
contact you or your company for the latest packages. But I appreciate you willing to share. So I think that's really all, but I think the launches, even a new seller, I think should budget at least a small package to PR. I think they launch because they get so excited, but they also got to maybe realize it's going to take time. They still got to do the PPC, right? You still got to do everything else. It's not like this will replace the other. You still got to do your other strategies, but this is another way to boost awareness on your brand, boost links and traffic to your site and to your listings. And of course it's prreach.com is the site.
prreach.com. Yeah, like I said, if you look right now today, the website's not really reflecting a lot of the things I'm talking about right now, including the press releases, but I expect within 2 weeks we'll have it all sorted out. So yeah,
this will go on the 20th, so hopefully
it could be up by then. I'm
cool.
hoping our programmer
I understand. I totally
pulls the
understand.
lead out. Yeah.
All right, Shane.
But yeah, no, great. Hey, I mean, we could talk forever on this type of stuff.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Maybe I should get you back on.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Sure.
But I think the real one is, like you mentioned, Apple and all these guys have huge PR budgets, and I think a lot of people say, "Oh, how do these guys get so well known?" But they also have a story, right? You also have to have a story, like you said. Like if you're just saying, "Oh, we have another, garlic press," like who the hell is going to really talk? But you have to have I remember something I learned from a friend about PR is try to be the first in something, even if you're the first purple garlic press, even if the first is color, try to have some kind of a unique, you got to have some kind of a pitch, right? Like that's, I think.
Yeah. That's very, very true. And the public relations side, that's what our team works on, is we work on your story and to craft that pitch. And hey, there's a lot of ways to do it. Maybe you're not all inventors. You don't have a patent for everything. Like I say, maybe go purple. Maybe it's a charity you're involved with. Like there's a lot of ways to craft
charity
stories.
I mean, that's a whole topic in itself, but yeah. But of course, really make sure you donate to the charity. That'd be some, of course, but I have a system for that.
Yeah.
I always wonder if there's some kind of a system that tracks that for you. But yeah, I do. I love that idea of or especially nowadays, environmental friendly. Somehow, that kind of angle for your product, your packaging, stuff like that. I always try to tell people too. People want to help the environment.
One thing I've noticed too, in a lot of really good listings I see on Amazon, is sometimes you'll see like in the title or a bullet point, "Oh, we donate $1 for every sale to charity," or something. Okay, great. But then you'll go down to the A+ page and you'll see like a really great, well-crafted story showing them at like the orphanage, or like it's like, oh, cool. Like there's a story right there. That's something I'll buy into. I get it.
Agreed.
And then, of course, you use that on social media, Amazon posts. Like there's just so many ways. And then you do PR on that and blogs and link to it. And it just creates this whole ecosystem on its own. And that's what we sort of do for the more advanced people, is we're creating this ecosystem with interlinking and
awesome. Yeah, it's really powerful. Yeah. Really great, Shane. It's been a pleasure to have you on finally. And I think we have so much more. We'll have to get you on for a second soon. And I'm excited to see your new site. And we'll link this as always in our show notes. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Great. And next time we'll just keep it to one topic so I don't go all over the place. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I know this is a little bit.
It's all good.
It's really great. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and also check out our Instagram at Global from Asia. Thanks again, and see you soon.
E-commerce, like over 8 years.